how's it going? 𝕹𝖘𝖋𝖊𝖚 here for another movie review for you today. Wow, I'm recording, right? Okay, yeah, cool, I'm recording. Hey, how's it going? So, yesterday, which was December 2nd, 2024, it was a Monday, approximately around 7 p.m. West Coast time, United States of America, I got the chance to see Nosferatu, the new film directed by Robert Eggers that is a remake of a much older silent film that was released in 1922. It was a pretty lovely experience, if I do say so myself. I had a pleasant time. It was all the way in Santa Monica at the Arrow Theater, which is a theater that I frequent personally pretty often, although the film did also have its world premiere yesterday on the same day, on the same night in Berlin, Germany. I believe it was Berlin. Correct me if I'm wrong. Well, you can't. It's a fucking video, but I'll correct myself. And I believe Robert Eggers and like the rest of the cast and crew were over there at the world premiere in Germany because, you know, that's the world premiere, whereas the premiere I was at was just the West Coast premiere, the West Coast of the United States of America, which is where I reside. So, yeah. I got the chance to see Nosferatu yesterday. It was pretty fucking cool. Oh my god, it was so cool. So I actually did review the old Nosferatu movie, the 1922 one, on my channel 9 years ago. It was 9 years ago now. Yeah, I just watched it recently, and it's pretty bad. It's not a very good review, but I did review it, and as I was watching my review, it was pretty funny because I remember I mentioned in the video, like, oh, there's a new upcoming director named Robert Eggers who's coming out, and that was before The Witch came out publicly. I think it was still in its festival run at this point, so yeah, it wasn't released publicly, and it was before I even saw it, and I was like, yeah, this Robert Eggers guy is supposed to be remaking a Nosferatu remake, and it should be pretty cool. It was pretty crazy. I was like, oh wow, everything comes full circle. That was 9 years ago. Point being, I've been anticipating this film for a very, very, very long time. Ever since then, even before I've seen a fucking Robert Eggers movie, I've been anticipating this movie. I don't even know who the fuck this guy is, and like, you know, I was fucking hyping this movie up 10 years ago. One of my most anticipated movies, probably of my lifetime, you know, of my 20s, and this is yeah, I got the chance to see it yesterday. It was kind of insane. It was very cool. We were actually the first ones in line, which is awesome, and we're members with the American Cinematheque, so we got to go in early, and yeah, we got pretty good seats, and it was a very packed crowd. It was a sold-out show, and the audience was awesome. The whole experience in and of itself was pretty great, and yeah, it's something that's gonna go down in the memory books for sure. But enough about me. Let's start talking about Nosferatu, because that's what we're all here for. Fucking, what are we doing here? All right, so Nosferatu. If you guys aren't familiar, Nosferatu originally started off as a 1922 silent horror film of the German Expressionism era, to be exact. This film falls under the same categories as other films of this era, such as The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari or The Golem, among others. The film is directed by F.W. Murnau, who is also a very prominent silent film director who also did movies such as Sunrise and Faust. He is a pioneer of the German Expressionism era. So yeah, this is a pretty influential movie, not only of that era, but of also the horror genre in general, since many say this movie kind of set the template for the horror genre, and it's 100% true. I mean, this is like kind of the first horror movie to, you know, really boost things off. The original Nosferatu is actually a very controversial film as well. It's actually the first, I think, movie to be banned for being too scary in Sweden. Apparently the Swedes couldn't handle this film back in 1922. Apparently it was too frightening, so they banned it. It's the very first movie to be banned for something like that. I think in general, I don't know. This is very, very early on, you know. This is like back when like filmmakers were still fucking magicians and shit, you know, just doing like magic tricks and being like, oh, you know, the illusion of the motion picture, you know, it's crazy, it's a crazy trick. Nosferatu, for those who don't know, is also an unauthorized, unofficial adaptation of Bram Stoker's novel Dracula. So basically this movie, you know, they didn't have the rights to make it. There are quite a few changes that they made in this film, of course, to differentiate itself from the source material. For example, the film, instead of taking place in Great Britain, I think in the 1890s, which is what the original Dracula book is set, because that's when the book came out, it is set in 1938 Germany. So the setting is completely different. However, you know, the Count still lives in Transylvania, but he's not Count Dracula. They changed his name to Count Orlok, who's pretty much this entirely new character with a completely different backstory. Whereas Count Dracula like used to have like a human past life, Count Orlok is like a spawn of Belial, I believe, who is associated with Satan. He's like one of his fucking little minions or something. But yeah, he created Count Orlok, I think is how the myth goes. So Count Orlok is like a completely different entity from Count Dracula. Their histories are very different, but they are both vampires. Another difference is that Count Dracula, when he bites people, he turns them into vampires, whereas when Count Orlok, when he bites people, they just die. Hence why the townspeople think the plague is killing everybody, when really it's Count Orlok just like fucking everybody up because he's just, you know, biting people and shit. But they see the bite marks, they think it's like rats. But really, it's Count Orlok. Another little difference, at the end of Nosferatu, he is killed by sunlight because this sunlight hits him and he dies. Nosferatu was the first film to come up with that concept of vampires not being able to be out during the day and they can only be out at night because they can't be hit by sunlight, otherwise they die, which is how Count Orlok dies in Nosferatu. So yeah, those are pretty much the main differences between the book Dracula and Nosferatu. They are two different things. And then, of course, there's a 1931 Universal film, which came out after Nosferatu, that is based solely on the book, and that has rights and everything, and that's connected to the book. Bram Stoker actually sent a bunch of people to try to get this film destroyed. They did not want this movie to be seen, you know, in the public, but they were unsuccessful, obviously, in destroying all these copies, and the movie exists to this day. It's also technically the first vampire movie to ever exist, aside from a few lost films that were made before this one, which are either like completely lost, or there's just like fragments of them that exist, but there's no like cohesion. This is the very first, you know, full-length vampire film to pretty much ever exist, even before the Dracula film. So yeah, little fun fact. This movie kind of really started the whole horror genre in and of itself. Everything kind of owes to this movie. So yeah, there you go. The Nosferatu film was remade in Oh, hang on, sorry, I need to get my pizza out of the oven. The film was also remade in 1979 by Werner Herzog, the man, the myth, the legend himself.
In Germany, I've somehow left the paved road. Nobody cares about my films. For example, what was that?
This literally just happened when we were standing outside there.
Camera.
And there was a noise, and it was a whiz, and you just said, "I've been shot." Look, you're bleeding.
I think here somewhere. Yeah.
Look, somebody shot at you and created a wound in your abdomen.
It's not significant.
And that remake is pretty good in and of itself. It's a pretty solid remake, and I see how people compare it to the original, albeit it is a very different, you know, approach to the story. It's stylistically speaking, it's a little different, but yeah, I mean, you know, it's its own thing. So yeah, remaking Nosferatu, which is such like a sacred, you know, piece of history of, you know, horror, it's a pretty big deal, you know, it's a pretty big feat to accomplish, and a pretty big obstacle to go through, you know. But you know what, goddammit, if there's any man in this world who is able to do it and pull it off, it's Robert Eggers. He's a cool ass dude. He's a great guy. In my opinion, he's probably one of the most prominent and important filmmakers of the last 10 years. He's 4 for 4 right now, you know, with all of his movies. They're all fantastic. You know, of course, The Witch, The Lighthouse, The Northman, all of them are absolute bangers in my eyes. I think he's a visionary. He's an auteur. He's also quite a historian. He knows a lot of history, and he used to actually start off in the industry, from what I understand, as a production designer and doing like costume. He's very heavily involved in like the production department of a lot of movies. Hey, how's it going? Jacob from the future here. I just thought I would add a little bit more about Robert Eggers, since I feel like I didn't do a very good job at explaining who he was. But basically, yeah, he started off as being like a production designer and doing like directing for like theaters and stuff, theater productions in New York. And then he also was the production designer for some short films, which, you know, pertain to like mythology and like folklore and that sort of thing, you know, because that's like his vibe. And then, yeah, he was also the costume designer for the 2010 horror film Yellow Brick Road, which is a pretty interesting movie. I have it somewhere on DVD. I'm not going to look for it, but yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about Robert Eggers. That's pretty much all I wanted to add. Okay, bye. The dude definitely has his own style. He's very idiosyncratic, and he's a visionary. And, you know, based upon his previous movies, you already know this guy's like a stickler for detail and historical accuracy when it comes to his movies. you know, will go above and beyond to make sure that every little piece and detail and like, you know, feather of a coat is to the T exactly how it would be in the time period. And as a result, his movies are absolutely fantastic, front to back, and also like the cinematography in all of his movies is amazing. I can go on raving about this dude, you know, forever, but I'm gonna kind of steer that conversation towards the film itself, because I do want to talk about a little bit about this movie, because it's kind of fucking awesome. And yeah, it's kind of everything that I honestly wanted it to be, and even a little bit more. This movie's gone through a lot of changes while being in development, and you know, we finally have it. It's here. I've seen it. The film follows Nicholas Hoult, who plays Thomas Sutton, who's a real estate agent who's sent to Transylvania to talk to Count Orlok, because Count Orlok is interested in buying property that is, you know, adjacent to Thomas. So he, you know, he does his job where he travels all the way to Transylvania to talk to this creepy ass dude, and, you know, tries to help him, you know, purchase a property in his town that he resides in Germany. So yeah, that's pretty much the story. And Thomas travels all the way up to this, you know, creepy ass castle, and Count Orlok is there, and that oh my god, he's frightening. He's very frightening. The film is very much more similar to the original 1922 film, and as far as like style and tone and mood and atmosphere goes, which is really cool. And not to mention, this movie is fucking beautiful looking. The cinematography is amazing. Just about every shot in this movie, I was like, wow, this looks fucking great. I was kind of overwhelmed by the way that the camera was telling the story, and yeah, just, you know, the movie looked great. It looked awesome. You can tell it's exactly how Robert Eggers wanted it to look. You know, he kind of just nailed, you know, the look and the feel of the whole thing. So yeah, it's the mood's there, the atmosphere's there. It's incredibly atmospheric, very gothic. I meant to say Thomas Hutter. Nicholas Holt's character's name is Thomas Hutter. I don't know why I said Hutton. I'm fucking stupid. Lily Rose Depp plays his wife, Ellen Hutton. She plays the victim of Count Orlok ultimately, where she keeps dreaming of this guy. She doesn't know who the fuck this creature is, but she keeps dreaming of him. And you know, your dreams can be a little kinky here and there. By the way, this movie's a little fucking horny. There's definitely some sensuality when it comes to vampires, and Robert Eggers really kind of captured that in this movie, and you'll see how. But yeah, it's a very horny movie. Just, you know, keep that in mind. But Lily Rose Depp was a fucking powerhouse in this movie. Her performance was kind of amazing. There were a few scenes in this film where I was just kind of like awestruck by her performance. She really surprised me. It kind of surpassed, again, my expectations when it came to her performance, and everyone else as well did an amazing job. Willem Dafoe's in this film. He plays Professor Albin Eberhard von Franz. And he's such a good time. I love Willem Dafoe. He's great in everything he's in. He's one of my favorite actors, and you know, he's in all of Robert Eggers' work, I think, except for The Witch. Yeah, he's in all of Robert Eggers' movies, and he does a great job every time. And this is also just one of his best performances in my eyes. I think he's great in this film. Fun fact, Willem Dafoe also played Count Orlok, Nosferatu, in the 2000 film Shadow of a Vampire, which is directed by E.L. Merhige, who directed Begotten, which is actually a movie that I also reviewed, and it's also one of my most viewed videos on fucking YouTube. So like, look at that, everything just comes full circle. That's crazy. I love Willem Dafoe. And yeah, fun fact, he was in Shadow of a Vampire, which is a film that is based off of Nosferatu, but more so the making of Nosferatu. So it's a movie about the making of that movie, but Willem Dafoe thinks he's like an actual vampire in that movie. It's kind of crazy. You should check it out if it sounds interesting. But yeah, this film's fucking great. It looks great. It is great. The production, of course, really shines in this film, and the directing really shines as well. This movie's very, very well directed. Also, not to mention, this is probably his most accessible film, in that it's probably like his most easy to watch, so to speak. You know, more catering towards general audiences, which I really hope this movie does well, because this movie, it's pretty fucking good. Also, it's a Christmas movie. Fun fact. You'll see when you watch it, but it's definitely a Christmas movie. It's about as much of a Christmas movie as much as, you know, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I'm adding this one onto the list of one of the greats, you know, of Christmas movies to watch every year. You know, it's up there. It's a good one. Hey, what's going on, guys? 𝕹𝖃𝖋𝖚 here. Sorry for the interruption, but I just want to talk a little bit about today's sponsor, which is Movie Palette. Everybody loves Movie Palette. These things are created by a bunch of really cool, creative, talented people. And what they do is they take the common color of every scene in a movie, and then they put it in chronological order from left to right. And the result is just this really cool, like, spectacle of colors on a canvas painting. I have mine right above my bed, and I go to sleep staring at it every night. and I think about how cool Movie Palette is. So if you guys want to do the same, I suggest maybe going to moviepalette.com and getting yourself one of these movie palettes. But you know what's even better? Fucking, you can get 15% off if you use the code 𝕹𝖘𝖋𝖊𝖗 at checkout. Like, it's what? It's crazy. Just do whatever you want. I just want to let you know these things are pretty cool. All right, that's really all I gotta say. Back to you, Jacob. Bill fucking Skarsgård, man. He's not even in this movie. I didn't even see him. I didn't even think about him. That's how like transformed he was into the role of Count 𝕹𝖃. When he was on screen, I did not see Bill Skarsgård. I just saw Count 𝕹𝖃. He was fucking amazing. He literally just transformed into this character. And Count 𝕹𝖃 himself, very, very interesting take on the character. It kind of threw me off at first. You know, they obviously are not revealing too much with you know, the marketing, the promoting and stuff. He's just kind of like, they don't really show his face or anything. You just kind of see silhouettes of him, and that's about it, which is a really cool marketing strategy, and I'm glad they're doing that because it just kind of makes, you know, his reveal all that more effective and interesting. And yeah, like his take on the character is really, really cool, and I honestly really like it a lot. And it's very different from what I thought, but I fuck with it. I think it's cool. And yeah, Bill Skarsgård again just did an amazing job, and he already is proven to be, you know, quite the horror icon with like It, Barbarian, among, you know, a bunch of other movies that he's done, like The Crow. I'm just fucking around. Apparently that movie sucks. I haven't seen it yet, but yeah, so yeah, the acting all around pretty fucking fantastic. Aaron Taylor Johnson's also in this film, among a bunch of other great actors. That one guy who's also in The Witch is in this movie, who plays it down the witch, Ralph something, is in this film. And yeah, the movie just does a really good job at telling this story. And you know, it's definitely one of those cases where this remake, you know, in this day and age, because it's been so long since, you know, the original Nosferatu came out over 100 years ago, a reimagining of the Nosferatu, you know, story was due, in my opinion. You know, this is one of those cases where like a remake was, you know, it's necessary. I would be down to see a Nosferatu remake, and it just, you know, landed in perfectly great hands with Robert Eggers and everyone else who worked on the film. And yeah, it's kind of amazing. This movie's kind of a contemporary horror masterpiece, and I don't really have much complaints about it, to be honest with you. I guess if I had any complaints, if I had to have any nitpicks, the movie is very long. It's 2 hours and 12 minutes, which, you know, it's pretty damn good length. For a horror film especially, it's quite long, and you know, there's maybe a smidge in the middle, you know, the second act that could maybe be cut down a little bit. But honestly, like, I was so absorbed and hypnotized by the film. The movie's so hypnotizing, by the way. Like, my eyes were glued to the screen the entire time. It just kind of has this effect on you where it kind of just puts a spell on you, and you just kind of, you know, you just kind of get lost into the world of the movie. It does a really good job at just reeling you in, and just, you know, so the runtime it really wasn't an issue. It kind of flew by for me, but if I had any complaints, it would probably be, you know, the second act. It was a little slow at parts. Also, the soundtrack was pretty damn great as well. Soundtrack's really good, and it's probably not one of the best aspects about this project. It's good. It's solid. It does the job well, and you know, it's really good. But it's not like the film's greatest strength or anything. But you know, it's great. And yeah, that's really all the complaints I would have for this movie, if any at all. It's kind of again, just a masterpiece, and I really encourage all of you guys to go out and see this movie if you can, horror fan or not. I think this is a great film, a great watch, you know, for the holiday season, you know, way to get in the Christmas spirit, and, you know, to watch Nosferatu, which comes out Christmas Day. So yeah, Nosferatu, if I had to rate it, I would probably give this motherfucker a 5 out of 5. This is a banger, man. This is definitely one of my favorite movies this year. You know, between this, Dune Part 2, Nora, I Saw the TV Glow, which I also really liked. This is up there as one of the best movies of the year, in my opinion. I hope it gets some Academy Awards, or at least gets nominated for something, or gets recognized at, you know, any award show in the award season. So, you know, here's hoping. I think it genuinely deserves it in just about every aspect, you know. This movie, it shines, and you can tell they just put a lot of great effort into it. So yeah, Nosferatu, that's pretty much all I gotta say about it. Great movie. Probably will go down as a horror staple of the decade for me, you know, at the end of the decade. So we'll see. But I really loved it. Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies that I've seen in recent memory. So please go check this shit out. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching this video. It's been quite a minute. I've been pretty busy this year, but I'm still here, you know. I'm just trying to get by and do what I can. So, you know, here's to making more videos in the future. Hopefully, we'll see. But yeah, I just feel like I had to talk about this one because it's just been a while, and I feel like this is a pretty prominent, you know, topic for my channel. I've talked about Nosferatu in the past, so, you know, it just makes sense. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Please stay tuned for more videos coming soon in the near future, and yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace out. I forgot about my pizza. Holy shit.